Story time.
Elara and the Talking Old Phone, the voice of the past. Elara loved old things more than new ones. She was 8 years old, with bright, curious eyes and a quiet smile. She loved to discover forgotten treasures, an old book with faded pictures, a wooden toy soldier with chipped paint, or a soft, worn blanket that felt like a hug. She lived in a small, cozy house with her kind grandma. Her grandma also loved old things and had many of them, filling every corner of the house with memories. Elara loved to listen to her grandma's long, wonderful stories about the past, about how life was in the old days. One particularly rainy afternoon, the kind of day perfect for indoor adventures, Elara was playing in her grandma's attic. The attic was a magical place, full of dusty boxes, each one a mystery waiting to be opened. Old, dusty boxes were stacked high, like silent guardians of secrets. Elara decided to explore a big, brown box tucked away in a dark corner. She carefully opened its creaky lid. Inside, there were soft, old blankets and forgotten clothes, smelling faintly of lavender. Under them, she saw something special. It was an old telephone. The telephone was shiny black, made of heavy plastic and metal. It had a big, round dial with numbers, where you put your finger in holes and turned it. It was heavy in her small hands. Elara had only ever seen new phones, thin, flat, and shiny, with screens that glowed. This one was completely different, from a time long, long ago. She picked it up gently. It felt cold and solid. She looked at the dial, traced the numbers with her finger. She put the heavy handset to her ear, listening for a sound. Nothing. It was not connected to any wires. It's just a toy now, a silent relic, she thought, a little sadly. She carefully placed it on a small, dusty table next to an old lamp. Suddenly, a small, soft ring came from the phone. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. Elara jumped. She looked around the attic quickly. Her grandma was downstairs, probably baking cookies. No one else was there. She looked at the phone. Did it really ring? Was she dreaming? The phone rang again, a little louder this time. Ring, ring. Ring, ring. There was no doubt. Elara slowly, very slowly, reached out and picked up the phone. She put the handset to her ear, her heart beating a little fast. Hello, she whispered, her voice barely a breath. A voice came from the phone. It was a friendly, old voice, a little bit crackly, like an old record player. Hello there. Oh, it's good to hear a new voice after so long. My name is Otto. I am an old telephone, and I have been sleeping in this box for ages. Elara's eyes were wide, round with disbelief and wonder. You can talk a telephone like in a story. Yes. Otto said, his voice sounding pleased. I can talk. I have a long, long memory, you see. I have seen many, many things. I have heard many, many conversations, but I have been sleeping for a very, very long time in this dark box, waiting for a kind hand. Wow. Elara said, a huge smile spreading across her face. A magic talking phone. This was truly amazing, even better than any book. What kind of things do you know? Elara asked, her voice full of excitement. I know stories, Otto said, his voice gaining a bit more strength. Many, many stories. Stories from long ago, when this house was new. Stories about this town, about the people who lived here, about their dreams and their secrets. Elara was very excited. Tell me a story, Otto. Please, please, please. All right, little friend, Otto said, his voice warm. But my magic is not very strong yet. I have been asleep for too long. I need more power. I need to feel like a real phone again. I need to make 3 special connections. How can I do that? Otto Elara asked, eager to help. What kind of connections? You must find 3 old connections, Otto said. They are hidden in forgotten places of this town. Each connection will give me a little more power, like charging my old batteries. And then, I can tell you a full, long story, just like in the old days. Where is the first connection? Otto Elara asked, already feeling ready for an adventure. The first connection is in the old post office, Otto said. It is a connection of messages. It waits for a hand to touch it. Elara carefully put Otto down on the table, feeling a new purpose. She went downstairs, telling her grandma she was going for a walk. She walked to the old post office in her town. It was a very old, brick building, quiet and a little sad now. It was not used much anymore. Most people sent emails now. She went inside. It was quiet and dusty. There were old, empty wooden boxes and scattered papers on the floor. She looked for a special place, a sign. She saw an old, small, wooden mailbox on the wall, painted a faded red. It looked very old and very forgotten, covered in a thin layer of dust. Elara remembered Otto's words, a connection of messages. She looked at the mailbox. She saw a small, round lock on its side, almost invisible. It was shaped exactly like a very tiny phone jack, like an old connection point for a phone line. She slowly reached out and touched the lock with her finger. Beep. A soft, clear sound came from Otto, who was still in the attic, like a little echo. Elara knew she had found the right place. She gently pushed her finger into the tiny lock. Suddenly, a soft, blue light came from the mailbox. It grew and swelled, filling the room with a gentle glow. And Elara heard it, soft, happy whispers. It was the sound of many old messages, letters, and postcards, all full of happy words, kind thoughts, important news, and warm feelings. The whispers filled the dusty room, making it feel bright and warm, full of forgotten conversations. The whispers floated into the air, becoming a sparkling, blue mist. The mist floated gracefully out of the post office, through the town, back to Elara's house, and then up to the attic, disappearing into Otto. You found it. You found the first old connection. Otto's voice came from the attic, a little stronger and clearer now, with a happy ring. My memory of messages is stronger. Thank you, little one. Elara felt so happy. She had found a connection. She was helping Otto. The next day, Elara went back to Otto in the attic. Otto was still black, but he felt a little warmer to the touch, and his earpiece looked a bit shinier. What is the next connection? Otto Elara asked, excited for the new quest. The second connection is in the old town library, Otto said, his voice now noticeably clearer and steadier. It is a connection of knowledge. It waits for a curious mind. Elara left the attic and went to the old town library. It was a very quiet place, filled with rows and rows of books. She loved books, so she often went there to read and learn. She walked slowly and quietly around the library, looking for something special, a sign from Otto. She walked past tall bookshelves and silent reading tables. In a quiet corner, next to a large window, she saw an old, tall globe. It was very old, its colors faded from years of light, showing countries and oceans that looked a little different from today's maps. Elara remembered Otto's words, a connection of knowledge. She looked closer at the globe. She saw a small, thin slot on the side of the globe's wooden stand, like a very tiny phone jack or a card reader. She slowly reached out and touched the slot. Beep beep. A stronger, more definite sound came from Otto, like a happy hum. Elara knew she had found the right place again. She gently pushed her finger into the slot. Suddenly, a bright, green light came from the globe. It grew into a shimmering cloud around it. And Elara saw it. Pictures of many maps, old cities and their histories, new animals and their habitats, tall mountains reaching the clouds, deep oceans full of mysterious creatures. It was like all the knowledge in the world, from ancient times to the present, was flowing from the globe in a brilliant stream. The knowledge floated up from the globe, becoming a shimmering, green light. The light gently floated out of the library, through the streets, back to Elara's house, and then up to the attic, disappearing into Otto. You found it. You found the second old connection. Otto's voice came from the attic, now even clearer, almost like a real person talking. My memory of knowledge is stronger. I can remember so much more now, thanks to your curious mind. Elara felt so amazed. The quiet library now felt full of flowing knowledge, like the air itself was buzzing with facts and stories. Elara ran back to Otto in the attic. Otto was starting to look a little less dusty, his black surface gleaming faintly with an inner light. He felt warm and alive. What is the third connection? Otto, Elara asked, her voice eager, barely able to wait. The third connection is in the old town hall, Otto said, his voice almost completely normal now, with a clear, resonant tone. It is a connection of voices. It waits for a true listener. Elara went to the old town hall in the center of her town. It was a very old, big, grand building with tall columns. People went there to talk about the town's life, to make decisions, and to hold celebrations. She went inside. It was big and empty, with a grand hall. She looked for something special, something that would hold voices. She saw an old, very big, shiny microphone on a tall stand on a stage. It was old and covered in dust, but it looked important. Elara looked for a lock, a connection point. She saw a small port on the base of the microphone, shaped exactly like her tiny phone jack. She slowly reached out and touched the port. Beep, beep, beep. A loud and clear sound came from Otto, like a joyful chime. Elara knew she had found the right place. She gently pushed her finger into the port. Suddenly, a soft, beautiful golden light came from the microphone. It grew into a bright, warm glow. And Elara heard it, many different voices. Happy voices, singing voices, children's excited voices, old people's wise voices, all talking, laughing, and singing together. It was like all the sounds of the town's past, all the important speeches and joyful celebrations, were coming from the microphone in a beautiful chorus. The voices floated from the microphone, becoming a harmonious, golden wave of sound. The wave flowed gently out of the town hall, through the streets, back to Elara's house, and then up to the attic, disappearing into Otto. You found it. You found them all. You completed the circuit. Otto's voice boomed from the attic, full of pure joy and incredible power. The third old connection is back. The connection of voices. I am fully awake now, completely charged, thanks to your kind heart and brave spirit. Elara ran back to the attic, her heart pounding with excitement. Otto was glowing with a strong, soft, warm light. He looked brighter and more alive than ever. His black surface seemed to shine. Now, Otto, tell me a story, Elara said, bubbling with anticipation. The one about the secret garden. All right, little friend, Otto said, his voice rich and full of life, no longer crackly. Sit down. Let me tell you about the secret garden that once grew right where your house is now. A garden full of talking flowers and a mischievous squirrel who guarded a tiny, sparkling treasure. And Otto began to tell Elara a long, wonderful story. A story about a secret garden, about a girl named Alice who talked to animals, about a hidden treasure under a big oak tree, and about the magic that lived in every growing thing. Otto's voice was clear and full of life, making the characters and places feel real. From that day on, Elara and Otto were always together. Otto told Elara many, many stories. Stories about old neighbors, about town secrets, about funny events, about brave deeds. Elara loved every single story. She learned about her town's past in a way no book could teach her. She learned about the magic that can exist in everyday objects and the power of kindness. Otto was not just an old phone. He was a magic friend, a living library of memories. And Elara was not just a girl. She was a hero who brought an old magic back to life. Every story Otto told made the attic feel brighter and warmer, and Elara's heart feel fuller and more joyful. She knew her secret adventure had brought a very special magic into her life, a true connection to the past. And the past, she learned, was full of amazing stories.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with more new stories.